Hi, welcome back, students. Well, let's just wait in three, two, one. Welcome back, students. Management 490. Welcoming you back, students of the University of Arizona Global Campus. Here we are again, strategic human resource planning. I love that when we talk about strategic, because when we say strategic, we're taking it from the tactical, where the tactical are the day-to-day policies and procedures that are followed within the organization. But when we talk about strategic, we're talking about a layer above that, where executives and decision makers really set the path and the course for the organization. And we know that the most important resource, the most precious resource within the organization, of course, is the human resource, and are the human resources, I should say. And for those of you like me, maybe you come from a technical background, you may be taken aback a little bit by the fact that human resources are the most precious resources. But I would argue with you that, as fabulous as these technical or IT resources are, still takes that human intervention to kind of navigate uh, through all the other resources and make sure that those resources are adding true value to the organization. So, without the human resources, if you will, the other resources don't necessarily have the efficiencies and the synergies that are required to help the organization meet their goals and objectives. But of course, I would be willing to have a conversation and debate with you for those of you that don't quite believe that's true. Let's talk about motivation in the workplace. And motivation is one of those tricky things where, you know, some people believe either you have it or you don't, meaning that it's almost impossible for an external source to motivate someone internally. And we're going to talk about those things in this over this week in week two. But I want you to challenge yourself to see what your paradigm is. Are you the person that believes that motivation, that someone outside of the person itself, maybe a manager or a supervisor or a human resource professional, can motivate someone to improve their work performance or improve the output of their work? Or are you the type of person that believes that motivation is purely internal and there's maybe nothing or very limited things that people can do to motivate someone? So, and this week, there's two discussion board posting. There's strategic intent, and then there's employee motivation. And then you've got part two of your assignment, which is the environment analysis. So when we look at outcomes for week two, you're going to analyze the role of HR in its achievement of both short term and long term corporate strategies. Usually, when we say short term within a business context or within a strategic management context, I'm using my air quotes here, that's going to be less than 12 months. And when we talk about long term, we're talking about longer than 12 months. However, that may vary between organizations, okay? Sometimes short term can be 30 days or even 90 days. So you always want to check, but generally speaking, from a strategic business perspective, short term is less than a year, long term is more than a year. Also, this week, you're going to analyze factors such as reward systems and how that can affect employee motivation. And then you're going to perform a SWOT analysis on your selected organization. There is a lot of resources here in week two. Oh, I'm going to get on my soapbox right now because I know how busy you are as working professionals. You're juggling work, life, and school, and who knows what else. But I need you to understand that you've only got one time to get this right the first time. And in order to do that, you want to do a deep dive into these resources, okay? Read the textbooks, chapters 5, 6, and 8. Very important. Do a deep dive on these web pages. What motivates your work? It depends on their generation. And that is true. We are in a workplace now where we've got four different generations within a single workplace, and they each have different factors that motivate them to even be on the job in the first place. Okay. So, make sure you're accessing that Mind Tools website so you can understand what that SWOT analysis is and how you can perform your SWOT analysis within the context of the organization that you are analyzing. Okay, you don't want you don't want a generic SWOT analysis. You want your analysis to be rooted and grounded within the problems and issues of the organization. Okay. You can go ahead and read the lecture. There's some embedded videos too, the challenge of leadership. Um, the video itself is kind of dated, but the information is still relevant. So I'm going to say just look past the dativeness of the video. I don't even know if that's a word or not, but look past that part. And I want you to just really concentrate on the content of the video itself. Okay. So in your first discussion board posting in week two, the prompt is HR planning should be focused on helping the organization achieve its strategic intent, which derives from the vision. So, the strategies needed to serve both short term operational concerns and long term, such as business cycle planning. So, within that organization, you are going to discuss how your selected company and select a company you are familiar with to review and provide background information. You can feel free to bring your company forward from week one. You don't have to get a new company. You will have to detail a short term and a long term strategic goal of that organization. And then you're going to talk about how, let's say, downsizing, mergers, or acquisitions could impact both the short term and long term strategy. And then finally, discuss how the role of HR can provide valuable advice and counseling to achieve the organizational goal and objectives. Remember, your initial posting must be 250 words and you must have support from scholarly sources. That's peer reviewed journal articles, academic textbooks, content from .gov, content from .edu. There are other sources out there that are credible sources, such as the Society for Human Resource Management. That is the leading professional organization. I believe it's pronounced SHRM. That is the leading professional association within human resources, branching over all industries, if you will. But there are other um, professional associations or uh, trade associations that are credible that you can use to support your analysis, that don't rise to the level of scholarly rigor, but is a very good complement to your scholarly support. And then in the second form, we're talking about recruitment and how recruitment is of little use if the organization cannot retain employees. Therefore, it is critical that the organization properly motivates and rewards their employees. So, with that prompt in mind, you're going to discuss two factors that affect employee motivation. You're going to explain how a proper reward system can affect an employee's motivation. And then finally, describe how misaligned rewards systems can become a demotivator, excuse me, and a liability for the company. Your initial response must be 250 words with support from scholarly sources. Your response to your classmates must be at least 75 words, but there is no expectation that you have support from a reference, although it is much more professional. Okay. And then finally, here in week 2, you've got part 2 of your assignment. In this case, you're going to do the environmental analysis. Make sure you're reading chapters 5, 6, and 8. Make sure that you also understand what a SWOT analysis is by going to the Mind Maps page. There are also other sources that can help you understand SWOT analysis. Just please make sure they're coming from scholarly sources or credible sources, okay? And in part 2 of your analysis, you're going to provide a SWOT analysis using a chart of your own. And let's talk about that for a minute. Usually, a SWOT analysis has 4 quadrants. And in each quadrant, you're going to have a minimum of 3 points. You can call them bullet points or what have you. And in each one of those 3 bullet points that you have in the 4 quadrants, each one of those points or each quadrant needs to be supported with peer review evidence. So please don't turn in a SWOT analysis with just typing in there that doesn't have in-text citations and doesn't have support from peer review references, okay? Your SWOT analysis, 4 quadrants, 3 bullet points in each quadrant. Each bullet point has an in-text citation to support uh, where you got the evidence to make your analysis, okay? Part 2, you're going to describe the 4 areas and the impact of the future viability of the company. You'll explain how the problem or issue impacts the organization and its competitive position within the industry. And then finally, discuss the key elements of your SWOT analysis and the impact of the strategies of HR on how it will provide sustainability for the organization. This particular paper should be 3 pages, double spaced. That doesn't include a title or a reference page that you will have. It must be in APA format. You must have 2 scholarly or credible sources in addition to the textbook. So that's 3. You've got your textbook, and then you've got 2 additional sources. So I should see a minimum of 3 references on your reference page, please. I think that's about it for week 2. If you've got any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me. Also, my office hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday by appointment. So please reach out to me if you'd like to set up an office hours session. I'd be more than happy to schedule a Zoom session with you. I think that's it for now.